Speaking of a man who doesn't need too many tips himself, we have the People's Champion and the three-time World Champion, Scott the Cannon Bannon. Scott, thanks for coming on today.
How are you, Jimmy?
Good, mate. Good. How's retirement treating you?
Sore, old, but it's good, mate.
Now, I did hear a little while ago you were starting to train guys again. Did you keep doing that?
Yeah, well, the problem with me doing that is I bounce off the ground a lot on a dirt bike just to test out how hard the ground is these days.
Yeah.
And it is getting harder. But I broke my shoulder. I had 6 months off for that. I've just come back from that. So I did a bit of pads now, and now my knee's gone, so I've got to get an operation, and 3 weeks I'll be out for another 5 or 6 months. So.
That's a little bit unlucky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the name of the game, mate. I'm not going to stop having fun, you know.
Well, like a lot of pro fighters, and like Brian does as well, who was on earlier, you're into the refereeing the fights, you promoted fights. Yeah, like myself, it's pretty much not too much in the game you haven't done.
I had a break for a while once I finally retired, you know, and sat out for a bit. But I do some commentary now for Paulie and the Legacy shows.
Oh, cool.
I ref for the WKBF, do some refing for those guys.
But I'll tell you what, the whole of your career, undoubtedly, has got to be that night at the Magic Millions when you beat Prince Amir for the world title.
Yeah, that was a cracker. I got all the respect in the world for Amir as a bloke and as a fighter. He kind of, when he beat me the first time, we had to go to the airport together in a car, and the car ran out of fuel. So me and Amir were pushing the car to the airport, and we just, he just beat me in a fight. He sort of, back in those days, we only had like 4 or 5 fights, and you had that bit of attitude still. Whereas Amir, first guy, a big guy that I fought, and you realise that it's just a fight. Straight after we were good mates, and we've been mates ever since. And
he is a nice fellow too.
Yeah, he's fought a lot of good guys, and he gave me the chance to rematch me, and I've got the world of respect for Amir, the hardest guy I've ever fought.
It's funny, because when you first started, I think you were doing Zendy Kai at the time.
No, I never did karate. I did.
All right.
Did Tok when I was a kid. And ninjutsu, had my ninja boots on, used to run around killing chickens. But I just mainly played footy. I just did it in the off season. The guys I trained with were Neil Warder, and he was a Zendy Kai guy.
That's right.
Yeah, and underneath Malcolm and that's when I met Nugget and Headhunter and all the good boys.
Yeah, Scott, you're probably in agreement with me on a touchy subject about sanctioning bodies. Like there's a lot of them now. And I remember one time when I was helping and it was on one of your shows, you won a world title and you pretty much deposited straight to the rubbish bin. There
was no disrespect to anyone. It's just that back in our day there was 3 sanctioning bodies, when we were doing it. And we all promoted together, we all worked in together. It's just now, if a guy can't get a fight on a certain show, or he can't get on Legacy or something, he can't get that W whatever belt, they'll just make up another sanctioning body and all of a sudden he's the Australian champion. That sort of, in my eyes, that lowers everyone. That's probably where the UFC have got it a bit dialed. If you're the UFC champion, you're the champion, that's it. I just think there's too many. If you can't get a fight for some guy and you can't earn it, well, you don't earn it. You don't just go fight for someone else and make up another title and then fight it. It makes the sport it's taking the prestige away from the sport a little bit.
It is a bit too, without being a knocker, because you can't have 12 individual Australian champions in the one weight division.
Yeah.
You've got to have the one guy.
You'd cop it every time. When you talk to someone, everyone they know is the Australian champ. It's probably 65 on Facebook. And every poster, some guy's got 36 belts hanging off him, That's the one I like about the Legacy shows, and you don't have to have all the belts on the show.
Well, Nugget did the same thing. Nugget had the highest rating shows anywhere, the biggest shows, and no titles on it.
I think to be professional, we're going to have to start going more like boxing. There's not a pro boxer that's a main fighter. It's not contracted to a promoter.
Yeah.
The days of a trainer being your manager, your trainer, everything are probably gone, or they should go. And you need a smart manager to, when you fight in Queensland, you fight for one promoter, and then that promoter can build you up each fight. And so at the end of the year, you have a big fight against another guy. Like I had Bruce and Soren fight on shows, and they fought together as a massive show. One of the best shows I've probably done.
Well, that is the way we used to do it. Like yourself, Shane Titleman, Jimmy Cass, and me, we'd always ring each other up to see what the show's on and help out. But nowadays, it's like kill or be killed.
Yeah, and if you missed a fight and I had extra guys, we'd throw them to each other. But
that's exactly right.
It's a gentleman's agreement. I think it's got to get back to that.
It'd be nice, and this is no knock on guys who are trying to earn $1 in promoting. They're helping the sport and helping the fighters. And you can't really knock the fighters either. Like someone says, do you want to have a go at this? Of course they're going to have a crack at it.
Yeah. Pro fighters these days, and I don't want to be rude to any of them, but not everyone can be John Wayne Parr, not everyone can be Nathan Corbett, and the same as trainers, not everyone can be Nugget and have a full-time job as a trainer. That took Nugget 20, 30 years to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Like you got to have a job, like if you only rely on fighting, you will take every single fight you get for whatever money you get, because that's what you're going to live off. Like I'm doing okay with money, but that's not from fighting. And I didn't make millions of dollars being a fighter, but I've probably made a lot of money because I was a fighter, you know, if that makes sense, because people obviously know who you are. Like, look at Brian there, runs one of the biggest building companies in the country.
Yeah, that's right.
And a lot of that's from his skill level as a man, but also having the respect that he was a fighter. He's got the same as yourself. I just think a lot of guys now just think, I want to be a pro fighter and stop working. You know,
Yeah, that's right.
It's a small avenue of those, the John Waynes and that can make good money. You know, there's probably, 5 guys in the country that could probably really make money and buy a house from it.
Hey, Scott, in the career that you had, like, had a lot of fights, 67 if I'm right.
Yeah.
Who would you rate as the hardest bloke you fought? Because there must have been a few there.
Probably Amir, mate, just because of how good he was, because he'd beaten everyone. And because he'd already beaten me, it was very important to me. And because I respected the guy, that was the one fight I trained perfect for. My weight was right, I trained right, my head was right. That's probably what was my best fight. You know?
Yeah, that was a great fight. Yeah, so I was there for that one. No, well, that's good. That's good. It's good to hear your opinions on things too. Anyone can have an opinion, but when you have a respected fighter who's won these world titles, legitimate world titles, with a view on the sport to help it make it a lot better, I think it counts for a lot more than just the average guy on the street too. But anyway, in saying that, Scotty, mate, thanks for taking time, mate. You took a day off work today.
Anytime,
to help
mate.
out.